Good evening, bonsoir. Bienvenue à la séance ordinaire le 22 avril. Welcome to the regular public meeting on April 22nd. Please rise for the national anthem. We'll go to territorial acknowledgement. We respectfully acknowledge the city of Bathurst as the ancestral homeland of the Mi'kmaq. Today, these lands are homes to a diverse population of Indigenous and other peoples. We also acknowledge with respect the diverse histories and cultures of the Mi'kmaq in the region. Nous reconnaissons avec respect l'emplacement de la ville de Bathurst en tant que terre ancestrale du peuple Mi'kmaq. Aujourd'hui, ces terres sont hôtes d'une population diverse, comprenant personnes natives, du territoire et autres patries. Nous reconnaissons aussi avec respect l'histoire et les diverses cultures du peuple Mi'kmaq de la région. On va aller à l'approbation à l'ordre du jour. Adoption of the agenda. Ms. Parker.
That the agenda be approved as presented.
All right, I'll need someone to move and someone to second. Councillor Branch, Deputy Mayor Willett. Ready for the question? All those in favor signify by saying aye. Oppose? Motion carried. Madame Parker, est-ce qu'on a des déclarations de conflit d'intérêts?
Aucun conflit d'intérêt déclaré.
Parfait. On va aller à l'approbation des procès verbales. Séance ordinaire publique tenue le 7 avril 2025. The regular public meeting held on April 7, 2025. Ms. Parker.
That the minutes of the regular public meeting dated April 7, 2025 be approved as circulated.
All right. I'll need someone to move. Councillor Knowles, seconded by Councillor Legacy. Ready for the question? All those in favor signify by saying aye. Opposed? Motion carried. Consent. So we have public administration presentation, présentation du public et de l'administration. Présentation des états financiers vérifiés par M. Gilles Deveau, CPA-CA, au nom de MNP Bathurst. M. Deveau, je vais vous donner le micro. Audited financial statement by Mr. Gilles Deveau from CPA on behalf of NPB Bathurst. Voilà.
Thank you. Glad to be here to present the financial statements for the year that ended December 31st, 2024. The city finished the year December 2024 with a surplus under the PSAB rules or public sector accounting rules with a surplus of $1 million, $51,115. Just to reiterate, juste pour dire que ça comprend, it includes transfers, governmental transfers.
Ah, nous voilà.
Ha ha. Ha ha. Ha ha. Keep on going. Keep on going. That's the audit report. Keep on going. Keep on going. Okay. So exactly, this is where the statement of operations, as I said, a surplus of $1,051,000. But like I said, it's under PSAS rule. The reason why we changed way back when was gas tax fund that changed to something else, to another fund. so that all municipalities across Canada had the same accounting standards, so they could compare whether it be Vancouver, Bathurst, Halifax, Moncton. Everybody would be presenting the financial statements under the same standards. So when they gave money away, which doesn't happen a lot, but when they did, everybody would have had the same numbers or on the same basis. So if you go to the next, keep on going down, keep on going. Okay, there. As we can see, financial assets this year, $9 million, $79,304 compared to $7,164,000. Payables or liabilities of $27,549,000 compared to $30 million. So the net debt again this year decreased by $4,500,000, and with the 3.6 that was decreased last year. In the last 2 years, there's over $8 million of net debt that decrease. So if we look at the province, they're always looking at the net debt as a benchmark of, okay, how is this city financially viable? Because if you think about, if you look at the balance sheet, you've got your assets less your liabilities. And when we say assets, just the financial assets or your bank account, your receivables, not even inventory. As you see, it's lower. So it's always, how much money do I have if I have to pay everybody out today? Well, the city of Bathurst started the year with a $23 million deficit. They're now down to 18 million. If we looked at 2 years ago, we were close to 30 million. So it's decreasing. So we're going in the right direction. Does the city have 5 million to spend on anything or just anything? No, because you still have a deficit of $18 million shortfall. Because like I said to somebody, you have assets of $92 million, but it's streets, trucks, sewer systems. If you guys can find somebody that wants to buy it, I recommend selling it because if nobody's going to pay for it. So it's always the benchmark from the province. How's the net debt going? And it's going in the right direction. Does it mean that it's a free for all? No, it's a good direction. If another 4 million or 5 million decrease in the net, so another 3-4 years, the city could actually be basically net asset, going into a net asset position. Then you're looking into a much better position to say, okay, now we're solid enough that we can go do it. But you're still another 2-3 years away from saying, yeah, we are. So, but like I said, the last 2 years, there's close to $8 million that was taking off the net debt. So it's going in the right direction. So if you go to the next slide, basically you're changing net debt. So we take the surplus, we take out what was purchased in assets, net amortization added back, the variances in inventories and prepaids. So like I said, 4.5 million, 3.6 the year before. So you started 2023 with $26 million of net debt, and we're now at 18 million. So a decrease of $8 million. I think it's great work by everybody at the city, the councilors, the workers, the finance department to be able to get into that position. Next page is your cash flow. So as we can see, cash flow generated $8 million, almost $9 million. Fixed asset of $3 million were purchased. Debt decreased by $3.1 million. So there was additional debt of $720,000 that was brought in, but payments of 3.8. So still 3.1 million paid out on the debt. Last year, close to 2.5. So in the last 2 years, $5.6 million were put against the debt. That's even with the new debts coming in. So again, a good position of good cash flow management and being able to bring down the debt. Because every time you bring down the debt, it's a future that basically, right, it's interest savings on the debentures. And as we saw, like the new debenture this year was almost a full percentage interest point higher than the previous year. So as you can see, interest rates going up, it costs more to the city to borrow. So the less debt you have, better it is. So if we keep on going, you can scroll down. I'm just going to bring you to note 16. Keep on going. You're at 2. Keep on going. 4, 5, 6, 7. So debt went down. Keep on going. See, accounts, a bunch of blah, blah. 15. Next one. So 16. So this is basically where we take from our PSAS, so standards for public sector accounting. and then we add back the surplus of second previous year. In water and sewage, it's usually your surplus as there's a schedule. It was a deficit that was brought in, the transfers over, etc. So in the general fund, the city finished with a surplus of $692,153. So your 2026 budget will be starting with a surplus. And in water and sewage, you finish with a deficit of $102,120. So your 2026 budget will start with a deficit of $102,000. But if we consider that during the year, transfers to reserve funds in the general, there was almost $500,000, $440,000 that was transferred to the reserve fund, and in the water and sewage, close to $446,000. That was so almost $1 million that was put aside for rainy days. We all know when we do a budget in October, November, everything is looks fine and peachy keen. The surplus, we'll just go through here. So in the general fund, you finish with a surplus, but it was there was a bit of unplanned revenue or unbudgeted revenue for $734,000. Construction permit were higher by $196,000. If you've borrowed some money, you saw that the interest rate is high. Well, when you've got some money to put aside, $75,000 more than budget. Casey Irving had $195,000 more revenue, but also had $327,000 more expense. Technology, we all know that technology costs a lot, so all the softwares, etc., cost about $160,000 more than what was budgeted. Insurance, no surprise, $67,000 more than budgeted. Then recruitment and public or employee relationship was $292,000 more than budget. No surprise here, $275,000 savings in snow removal. I think we all know. I still remember when I started with the city in 2007. Every year was like, oh well, snow removal was $300,000 over budget, and here we are, 10, 15 years later, and we're actually under budget. And then transfer to reserve for $513,000. In water and sewage, the deficit there was more revenue by $448,000, but there was a bit of unplanned revenue or unbudgeted revenue by $214,000. The water supply cost $484,000 more than budget. The sewer was under budget by $202,000. There was a transfer of the transfer to reserve was $300,000 more than budgeted. There was a $100,000 budget, but there was $300,000 more. And then there was some other unbudgeted expense higher than budget of $180,000 to do your deficit in the water and sewage. So.
Okay. Just quickly, because we're saying that we're shaving on the debt, but we are saving in interest as well. So, everything that we've been doing is putting us in a situation where we are saving hundreds of thousands of dollars per year in interest.
Absolutely.
So this is how it seems like every year the debt lowers, but it's because of the team that we have and the work that they're doing. And we do get our quarterly reports every 3 months, and we know if we're on track and how well we're doing and how things are going. People might say, well, we have all kinds of money. No, we don't. We're going to need a new water treatment plant. We have a new pool that we're talking about. So we're putting us in a situation that if something happens, financially, we'll be able to. Do we have any questions? No? Merci beaucoup, Monsieur Deveau. On va y aller avec revue de l'année 2024, service d'incendie de Bathurst par le chef des pompiers Boucher et sous-chef adjoint pompier Hamel. So 2024 year in review, Bathurst Fire Department by our Fire Chief Boucher and Assistant Deputy Fire Chief Hamel. Bonsoir, monsieur. Merci.
All right, Madam Mayor, Council. It's my pleasure to bring to you 2024 year in review. So first off, we want to mention that we now have a 4-year collective agreement with the firefighters and the IFF. That was a lot of work on all parties, but it was signed on November the 19th. Operations was quite a year for the fire department, as we can well imagine with some of the photos that you see here. Just to give you a rundown on our 2024 emergency responses, fire itself, 133. You'll also see on another slide that I put together a 5-year past calls. So you'll see that that number was up from previous years. Explosions accounted for 4, rescue and resuscitation responses 76, public hazards 23, gas leaks 10, public service, which could be just someone calling the fire department to have a battery replaced in their smoke alarm. So we do take those calls as well. Alarms with no findings, 150, false alarms 9, and incident situation unclassified, there was 5, which gave us a record year of 441 responses that the fire service answered calls to in 2024. Looking at our 5-year previous, as you can see in 2023, we were at 84 calls for actual structure fires or calls for structures. As mentioned, up to 133. So we're hoping to bring that number back down, and we're going to talk about one of the campaigns that the Office of the Fire Marshal that we've been working with as well as other fire departments across the province. So it gives you the opportunity to look to see what the fire service has been doing over the last 5 years. And we got to sort of work on those numbers to bring them back down. And that's what we're hoping to be doing. Some milestones, some retirements and promotions with the fire service. So most of these were recognized on the city Facebook as well as the fire department. So Captain Roger Hache, 35 years, Captain Bernier, 35, Captain Mark Robichaud, 30, Captain Luke Duga, 25, and firefighter Adam Gallagher, 15 years. At the same time, Captain Hache retired this year. And we also had promotions, Captain Luke Duga, Lieutenants Greg West, and Lieutenant Matt Scott. And our firefighters that were hired on last year came up from probationary to firefighters, Hubert Hermans, Jolene Girard, and Sebastian Dorion. Fire Prevention Week, which we had a great tool, and that was from the Fire Marshal's office, and that's a fire prevention trailer. There's 3 of these trailers across the province, and we had them actually next door, and it was a great day. It has a kitchen inside, as well as a bedroom, and I apologize, those got out of order. The fire prevention trailers, we've seen 350 individuals go through this trailer in 2024. The unit allows firefighters to demonstrate for residents, how to practice their fire training. It's all safe. There's pull stations. There's a fire extinguisher that you can see that they can learn to put out a fire with no danger to themselves. There's a bedroom with an escape window so that the kids can jump out the window, which sometimes they like to do somersaults and other things, but we do try to promote safety. And this tool will again be around our area in 2025. So that is great to see. And because again, we need our elderly to know how to put out kitchen fire, but also for the children to know how to get out of a bedroom. So I'll just back up to this slide. The smoke alarm campaign. So the smoke alarm campaign is residents in the province can go onto the Office of the Fire Marshal website and give their address, how many floors, how many bedrooms, and then the fire department will deliver smoke alarms that have been purchased by the province to those folks. When they set them up and put them in the bedroom, then they contact the fire department to let us know that has been accomplished. So we've already delivered 48 smoke alarms and 12 CO alarms through that program. And that's at no cost to the residents. Fire inspections over 2024, provincially, 7 seniors complex, 2 schools, the liquor license inspections and municipal, 3 special events. There was 11 re-inspections, 16 inspections, and also 42 burn permits that were issued by firefighters or the chief officers. Sorry about not having those in order. New operational tools that the fire department has received in 2024. So the first new computer software program, which we're still working with and on to get that just right. Again, as mentioned previous, IT never changes, and neither does the software. We purchased a new auto extrication combination tool, 5 sets of bunker gear, also 3 sets of ice and water suits and PFDs, and a 1-ton utility truck. Professional development. So firefighters, we never stop learning. So for the chief officers, the incident command system offers a safety officer course, which was taken, as well as the fire investigator course, level 1 and 2. Hazmat members, they attended in Ottawa, actually, one of our members for radiology assurance monitoring training. And our firefighters currently, as we noted in 2023, are all working on their New Brunswick Community College Fire Officer 1 course, which should be completed this year. So training. Training, as mentioned, we train. We train weekly on every aspect that firefighters could be faced with at any day. So a few pictures here, some ice water rescue training that Captain Duga and myself participated with in Oromocto as we were invited to check out some of their equipment, as well as the mobile burn unit that some of you may have seen at Vanier Station. And the top right picture is our firefighters training to put out a propane tank fire. Training is just not up to myself and up to the chief. It's up to, we go out, we source third parties. So Fire Training Associates for 2024 and as well as 2023 have given us an excellent opportunity for new training. Professional development through that. As I reported last year, the abilities for our firefighters to instruct and to certify other firefighters, as well as I want to mention that these firefighters assist other fire departments with their training. So we're able to assist with firefighter level 1 and 2, auto extrication, pump operations, fire instructor courses, fire officer courses, hazmat, as well as defensive driving. And we have 10 NBCC certified instructors that you see on the right-hand side. Our path to success. This is something I worked with the chief, and I thought it was important to bring forward so that folks can see that we actually have a path. So 2023, hire an assistant deputy chief training officer. That would be myself. In 2024, we did company officer first minute on scene, which was completed. This year, we've actually already in 2025 completed the company officer first 15 minutes of a fire. 2026, our plan is for truck operations. That's our ladder truck. How do we effectively place it? How do we effectively use it? And then in 2027, firefighter survival, as well as rapid intervention teams. And those rapid intervention teams is actually a course to teach us to save our own, and that's our firefighters if something was to happen. Our weekly training, every Wednesday night, Mayor, Council, come on over. We'll find some bunker gear, and we'll put some tools in your hand, and you'll see where your money's going. But on a serious note, absolutely come check it out. As I mentioned, our NBCC Fire Officer 1 course, approximately 75% is completed by our all firefighters, not just our captains and lieutenants, all firefighters, because at any day they could be in an acting role. So all members of the fire service are doing that course. Our training opportunities, I use online trainings, mutual aid fire departments, the Chaleur Association, as well as other allied response agencies. Operational training consists of our boat level training, 2 and 3, ATV and UTV for the Kubota. Defensive driving. Every year, our members have to try not to knock down any pylons. And it's great. It keeps our skill level up. Workplace first aid and CPR, WMIS, our SCBA mask fit testing that's done here in-house by health and safety, auto extrication, pump and ladder operations, F500 extinguisher agent, which is something new, as well as the NBCC and the OFM burn trailer, as I had mentioned. What's happening in 2025? What are we going to be doing? So the company officer course, as I mentioned, the first 15 minutes, that was completed in March of 2025. Our members did half a day classroom and then half a day on new hose deployments. And then the second day was spent in Miramichi at the college in live burn situations. So they were actually in fighting fire in sea containers, in real life situations. The emergency medical responder, we're actually in the middle of that right now, and that will be completed May 5th. Completion of the officer course, as mentioned, and the commencement of Fire Officer 2, and that will be for our captains and lieutenants in 2025. Implementation of the First Due software, it's currently ongoing, as well as I mentioned, the Office of the Fire Marshal and the smoke and CO alarm distribution in progress. I've been told that there'll be one more rollout of that before summer. Looking forward to 2025. Is there any questions?
Well, thank you very much for your presentation. We do actually, so we'll go Councillor Branch.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. I'm just curious, what caused such an increase in fire responses from 65 to 84 per year to 133 last year?
Pretty big number, Chief.
There's a lot of different factors that contribute to that. If you look like 2 years previous to it, calls were down lower. COVID was a big major thing to that. People didn't go out as much. They were in the house. We've noticed an increase in kitchen fires with younger generation students, mostly in particular, leaving home, don't know how to cook on high,
Okay.
turn around, go to their neighbor, hey buddy, how are you? Come back. There's a lot of different contributors. There's so many electronics out there. There's a lot of those electronics that are coming from different areas and are not necessarily concentrated to that one particular telephone or laptop. Different brand names.
So no general trend, just a bunch of different things.
The biggest trend is, population growth. We've had like an increase in population.
Yep.
Fires today they burn much more quickly and more furiously than they did 5-10 years ago. A lot of plastics, synthetics, it all contributes to spread. People today are more apt to give us a call rather than put it out themselves and try to hide it, because we want to encourage that. The Fire Marshal's office keeps like stats on all that stuff, so we encourage people to advise us.
No, perfect. It's encouraging to see so many long-term employees, so I'd like to congratulate and thank them for that. It's also encouraging to see so many trainers in-house. I was just wondering, are they all cross-trained? Do you have multiple trainers to train multiple courses?
Yeah, so we have quite a few are cross-trained into at least 2 or 3. Almost everyone actually on that list can teach firefighter level 1 and 2. And then I can take 3 members right now and we could put on an auto extrication course in-house and have it certified by NBCC. Same as pump operations, the remote rescue. MFR, currently there's myself, but we're actually working on having 2 other firefighters become instructors for the medical first responder program.
Okay, perfect. Great work. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you, Madam Mayor.
Okay. Councillor Burnett.
Thanks, Madam Mayor. Thanks for your presentation. I have a couple of questions. Beside the fire detectors, do you do the carbon monoxide detectors as well?
So the CO and the smoke alarm is the campaign that it's like a 2-in-1, but an individual CO alarm, no.
Okay. And where do people get those?
They can get those at any of the retail stores.
Because it was in the news last week. Some people had problems with
Yes.
that. The other question is in training, professional development for electric cars and electric bicycles. We hear of fires from the batteries being charged in homes, in garages.
Yes.
Is there a proper way to protect yourself from that? Is there a unit you can buy to store your battery in, or
There's not a unit that I'm aware of. I know for training, that's one of the things the chief has challenged me for in 2025, but not just that, but also solar panels as well that are on roofs. The F500 extinguishing agent that you've seen, that is for us. That's how we'd be putting that fire out. There's also a fire blanket that could be utilized, and those are also available at a retail store.
So if you have a fire on a highway of an electric car, you have equipment to deal with it?
We have the F500 extinguishing. That's what a lot of fire departments, because it's similar to a foam, but it's not. It's an encapsulating agent that actually blankets it and removes the oxygen. So that's what we'd be using, and we store, I believe, Chief, 10 gallons on each truck, if I remember. We have a good amount for that.
Yeah, so we do, our trucks are all, we have foam tanks as well as we can draft like directly from the container. So there's 2 20-liter containers per truck. So what happens with lithium ion batteries, when they catch on fire, you can put a lot of water on them to cool them down, but it takes a lot of water because it produces its own oxygen. So it doesn't take oxygen from the outside because it produces, and that's why they're so difficult to put out. This agent here, F500, like the assistant deputy said, it encapsulates it. Yeah.
Thank you. My other one is being a retired teacher. I've been through many fire drills with the fire department waiting out the door to see if everybody was going to get out.
Yes.
Do you do the same with the seniors' homes? We have a lot of seniors' homes now, which we are lucky to have. And are there people in those homes that know how to get people out of there and have practiced it with a fire drill?
We do some upon request. They need to do their monthly fire escape training, so they do it.
They do it?
In-house monthly, yeah.
Oh,
And that's part of their license. Yeah. To keep their license, they need to
great.
do that and document it.
Thank you. Thanks, Madam Mayor.
You're welcome. Councillor Knowles?
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Thanks for the work you do every day, the Bathurst Department. I think back to the fire that happened on the Eddy site. It still amazes me how that was contained to that site. It's totally unbelievable. Thanks for containing it along with the regional fire departments that came in to help.
There was,
Still amazes me.
there was 7 fire departments there that evening.
Yeah.
And through the course of that was 104 firefighters that attended that scene.
Wow.
Over 30 hours, as well as EMO offered assistance and sheltering here during the time when the smoke was actually going across St. Anne. It was an amazing effort by everyone. I was the incident commander, as well as the former deputy was accountability, and the chief was making sure that we were doing everything right. So it was an amazing effort by police and the general public, just giving us the right of way and allowing us to do what needed to be done.
That was amazing work for sure. And the good news is they're going to rebuild, and it should start in a couple of weeks. So
that's what I've heard
good
as
news
well.
Story
So.
in the end, not at the time. It certainly wasn't. But
Thank you.
okay, thank you very much.
Thank you.
Well, thank you for your presentation and keep up the good work.
Thank you, Mayor.
Merci.
Thank you.
On a une mise à jour des travaux publics. So we have public works update by our city engineer, Matthew Abernathy.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. All right. Okay, pretty similar presentation, which you're used to seeing me do every spring. I'm thinking this year I may come back and do a little bit more of an in-depth presentation. Today, we're really only going to go through the highlights, which the public kind of the hot ticket items for the public, the roads and water and whatnot. So we'll go through that tonight, and then expect to see me again maybe midsummer. We'll go through maybe a little more than nuts and bolts of public works and how things work down there. There's probably a lot of stuff that we do that the public don't know that we do. So it would be interesting to see that another time. But tonight I'll spare you the details, and we'll go over the highlights. So we'll start off with our roadway patching. We've been completing winter patching throughout the year. I know some people may not think so, but our streets are actually in significantly better shape than they have been in past years. We had a pretty good winter for free thaw cycles. Of course, now in the spring, things are popping out a little bit, but during the year, we were quite lucky for the condition of roads. And whenever things did pop up, our crews were on site, putting in recycled asphalt to try and smooth things out as quick as possible whenever the weather would comply. So we complete our winter patching with recycled asphalt, as I mentioned. So you'll see the unit down there on the right side. And this year, we put down 45 tons of recycled asphalt in potholes. So we call those rim benders, those dangerous potholes that could cause accidents. So we try and get on those as soon as we can. We also put down 193 tons of asphalt in utility cuts. So it's been a really bad year for utility issues for water breaks. I'll speak to that a little bit more a little later on. But that 193 tons of asphalt, had we put down cold patch for that, we'd be pulling that all up in the spring. That would be taking resources away from doing lawn repairs and getting the streets swept and all different things. So by using recycled asphalt, we're really freeing up our crews to do that spring cleanup that's required, as opposed to tearing out utility cuts and redoing them. So it's eliminating the duplication of work there, which is really a good savings. We actually sold a little bit of asphalt out of there this year as well. So we're looking to get a little bit more into that. Whenever we fire that machine up, we're making a few tons of asphalt for our patching crews, and then we're shutting it down for the day. It doesn't take a whole lot for us to make a few extra tons and then sell that to any contractors in town or adjacent municipalities if they're looking to have some as well. So it's really not an extra burden on our time, just a few materials and fuel and whatnot. So something we're certainly interested in doing if anyone's interested in buying asphalt off of us. So moving on to our summer roadway patching. So typically I would come to this meeting with a detailed plan of every street that's ready to go and what the order we're going to do them in. I don't have that ready for you tonight. The guys are still working on what streets they're going to be doing. So I'll just go through kind of the general methodology for how they go through their work. The asphalt plant typically opens on May 20th. The reason why we have to wait until they open is because they make a finer type of asphalt, which is called sand seal, which is what we use for finer patching. That's not when we can use our recycled asphalt for the bigger holes and utility cuts, but when it comes to fine patching and smoothing out the roads, we really need to use that produced asphalt from St. Isidore Asphalt. They're only open on May 20th, so that's when we'll get two crews rolling right away and get them out to hammer out the streets. So the order of things which they'll follow is they'll start on arterial streets. They'll start on St. Peter, St. Anne, Miramichi, Vanier, etc. And then they'll move on to collector streets, Riverside, Rough Waters, Evangeline, Victoria. And then they'll move into subdivisions on the local streets. That's your Parkwood Heights, your Manor Parks, Squire Green, etc. So we'll also make an effort this year, as in every year, to try and get down to the beach before tourist season begins as well. We want to get that thing smoothed up for the tourists to come to town. Typically, if we get started around the middle of May, by mid-July or so, we pretty much have all areas covered. Obviously, some more stuff pops up during the year that we'll get to on an as-needed basis, but those crews will pretty much be buttoned up by the beginning of August or so, and hopefully get everything done. So the other kind of hot ticket item that we have is street sweeping. And I see my video is not working there. It must not work on this computer. But so our focus this year is to improve our level of service on sweeping by purchasing some new equipment. You'll see in the picture there, which is supposed to be video, is our new EdiNet sweeper. It's a loader-mounted front sweeper. Some of you may have seen it around town. Some of the benefits of that piece of equipment is we can get out there when temperatures are below zero. We don't need to run water. There's not sophisticated solenoids and all kinds of items inside of it that can freeze up in cold temperatures. So it can be used out in the colder weather. So we have been able to get out and do, our initial cleanup of downtown already. You've seen our employees out on the sidewalks sweeping them with brooms around telephone poles and whatnot. to get that first cleanup done. They'll go through and do another final cleanup at the end, whenever winter's actually done, and get things cleaned up. So they'll move their way from the downtown kind of outwards. They'll head towards Miramichi Avenue and East Bathurst, and then head over to West. And then we're hoping once temperatures are consistently above 5 degrees, I think we're almost there now. In the next couple of weeks, we'll be getting our regular sweeper out with the vacuum on it. That'll be doing kind of a final pass everywhere. So the benefit of the EdiNet sweepers, it really will pick up the bulk of the material that's there. It can be dumped from the EdiNet unit into a dump truck or a trailer or whatnot, hauled away, instead of having to drive the sweeper back and forth every time it fills up. And what that allows our other sweeper to do is run for significantly longer without filling up. So it's not driving back and forth to dump and dump and dump and dump. So we're really hoping to get a good clean sweep of the entire city within 6 weeks once that sweeper starts. Now, that sweeper really only runs where we have curbs, because the vacuum is required to pull the debris out of the curbs. Any other areas are going to be covered by regular brooms like the EdiNet or our smaller trackless units or bobcats or whatnot. And we'll try and get them out as soon as we can as well to get those side streets cleaned up. I know in previous years, we've got a lot of complaints about the sweeper never made it by subdivision. And really that was a kind of a coordination thing and a lack of equipment, a lack of manpower. We're hoping to get that dialed in this year, and I think we'll be able to get everybody pleased with the result this year. So moving over to the water and sewer side, starting with our water main flushing, always a hot topic down at Public Works. So this year we're doing things a little bit differently. We're going to be flushing our dead ends on a bi-weekly basis. Something that we've been getting away from in the past because of the budget constraints and manpower situation there. So what you see on the left is our map of dead end areas that need to be flushed. Every one of those dead ends could take between half an hour or 6 hours, up to 6 hours to flush those out. So it's a pretty significant amount of time to be out there flushing. So we're going to be trying to do it on a bi-weekly basis. We encourage everybody to keep an eye on our Voyant Alert. If you haven't signed up for that yet, we encourage residents to certainly sign up for that. There's a link on our website for that, to be notified if we're flushing in your area. Like I said, on a bi-weekly basis, we're going to be around quite a bit, so it'll be quite useful this year to keep an eye on things. We've also upgraded some of our in-ground flushing units, so we've had some trouble with them in the last little while. So we've gotten those upgraded. We're having some good success with that, so we're looking to possibly expand on that a little bit to alleviate some of the resource kind of requirements on our flushing teams. And then moving on to our unidirectional flushing. This is the same as last year. Unidirectional flushing is a process by which we open and close valves to send water in a certain direction to clean out those pipes and give them a good scour with a good hard flush. What you see on the screen right now is what was completed last year. And that map is updated live on our website, in real time. So residents can see when the crews are scheduled to come to the area, when it's been completed, what has been and what hasn't been completed. So that was our downtown that was done last year. This year we're really going to be focusing again on Parkwood Heights. We've already done Parkwood Heights a couple of years ago. However, our sand and booster wasn't in place at the time, so we really feel that we didn't get an effective result out of that. So we're going to give it another shot with the sand and booster in place. We have significantly more pressure and capacity there now, so hoping to get a better result out of that unidirectional flushing there. And then we'll make our way around towards St. Peter Avenue and into East Bathurst after that. But really, most likely only going to get the Parkwood Heights area done this year. Like I said, we're on a 5-year cycle for unidirectional flushing. We're going to continue with that. So moving on to sewer flushing. We have a truck rental scheduled for August and November this year, as we do every year. We do about a quarter of the city every time we rent one of these trucks. So we complete these on a 4-year cycle. We're actually working on a sewer clogger right now on St. Peter Avenue. So I'd like to speak a little bit on the whole sewer flushing aspect here. Super important that we get this done every year. It's a big drain on our resources as well. We have a full crew on this for 3 months of the year at the end of the year. And that's typically when we're also rebuilding roads and trying to button everything up. So it's very important that we have the resources available to get this done. And a couple of things I'd like to speak about that could help the public kind of understand what can and what can't go into your toilets and your sinks. What we see in our lines and at our wastewater treatment plant is the major problem is grease, right? We have a lot of restaurants which aren't following our bylaw for the grease interceptors. We're coming upon restaurants who don't even know what it is and weren't aware that they had it. We've seen some ownership transfers happen without a proper transfer of information there. And so we're seeing those systems overflow into our system and cause major clogs. So it's pretty significant cost associated with those clogs in the sewer system. So what you can do at your residence to help with that is really make sure that you don't send any of that bacon grease or meat fats or anything like that down your drains. That's really something that should be put into a container and either kept for cooking or thrown in the trash at the end of the day. And something that's important there is that's important for us to maintain our system and to keep from having clogs in our system, but it's also important for resident systems. And a lot of the people that call us with a concern with a clogged sewer drain don't realize that they're responsible for the sewer system from their property line to their house. So if they're putting grease and everything down the line and they're clogging that line, a lot of times we'll get a call saying your sewer's clogged. We'll come down, we'll check the main line and it's flowing fine. It turns out it's your service that's clogged because you've been putting grease down the drain, or even large objects like hockey sticks and all kinds of stuff. The stuff that we find in our lift stations is pretty amazing. So, there's also tree roots that could be making their way in, or bad pipe connections or stuff like that. But it's really what's going down the pipes that's causing the problem. So residents really need to keep in mind that what goes down your sewer might affect our system, but it could also affect your system. It can be very costly if you have something that needs to be dug up in your front lawn or anything like that. So something to keep in mind. So the full list of what I had here was grease, tree roots, larger items, like I said, hockey sticks and whatnot. Bad pipe connections or sags can all cause blockages in your sewer system. And of course, flushable wipes, which are not flushable. So something to keep in mind, make sure we don't be putting those down our system. We'll go over a couple of capital project highlights. We've got a pretty long list that we went through whenever you guys approved the capital projects for this year, but some of the highlights here, mostly road related. On the road paving side, we're going to be doing rough waters from the highway to the limits. That's over 830 meters of road there that we'll be doing in-house. So it's going to be a pretty large project. Second one's going to be Daniel Drive, so Vanier to Ulrich. And then Roy Lane, which we've already gotten started on Roy Lane. We're going to hope to button that up in the next couple of weeks. And then Ryan Road from Van Tassel heading towards St. Anne. So that'll be a multi-phase project. We'll probably be looking to do the other side of that next year. And you'll see in the note in the bottom there, projected operational savings to be reinvested in extending road paving projects if time permits. So if we're able to stretch out Ryan Road a little bit of savings from snow removal costs or anything like that, we'll certainly be looking to put that there this year. And then over on the utility side, St. Anne Street's finally getting done. We have a must start by date for them, I believe is May 27th. So you're going to be seeing them there, there within the next 3 or 4 weeks. They'll probably start stockpiling material and whatnot in the next little while and getting going. There's also the possibility of a couple other projects, but funding hasn't been announced yet, so we can't really speak to those yet. But soon enough, post-election, I'm sure we'll be talking about some more things going on. So as far as capital projects are concerned, I was here a few months ago talking about our 10-year infrastructure plan. Our GIS and our communications team have put together a public-facing map of our infrastructure plan. So it's available online right now. The link below there, you can find it pretty easy on bathurst.ca anyway. But basically, it has every project that we have listed in our infrastructure plan, the year that it's planning on going out, a brief description of the project, and a cost. And you can filter that by year and kind of see where things are going. And so on that plan, we don't have all of our road rebuilds on there yet. So everybody can look at that and say, well, geez, they're not paving any roads. We also have amounts in there for road paving every year. We've also got gas tax paving and whatnot. Those projects are not in there completely yet because they haven't really been identified by council yet as what there's money allocated in there for road paving, but there's not a specific project yet. So we'll be adding to that as we get our asset management off the ground here, which is happening right now. Vincent Wood's doing a great job gathering data for that. We're hoping to get a lot of that stuff put together in the next few months here to have ready to present to you guys before our next budget season. Fingers crossed that'll be the case. I think there's a strong possibility that we'll at least have the utility side done and rolling on that. So we will implement that into this map and kind of update it and maybe even turn it into a 10, 20, 30 year plan down the road so everybody can see where things are going to be at over the long term. All right. So I always like to end these presentations with a thank you to our public works employees, our procurement staff down there, and administration staff. They all do a great job. Things are going really well down there. Everybody's really pitching in and doing what needs to be done. So some great stuff happening down there. So I always want to throw thanks out to those guys. So happy to take your questions.
All right, so we're lit up just a bit everywhere. So I just want to confirm, so Rough Waters, Daniel Drive, Roy Lane, and Ryan Road will be done eternally? So it'll be in-house?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Good. Okay. Councillor Leblanc.
Merci, Madame la mairesse. Merci, Mathieu, encore une fois, chaque année. Toujours des belles présentations bien détaillées. C'est drôle parce que, évidemment, pour ma job et pour autres raisons, je voyage beaucoup dans d'autres villes et je trouve ça drôle un peu. On attend souvent comment est-ce que c'est. Chaque ville, c'est eux autres qui ont les pires routes, et incluant Bathurst. Mais je dois dire que le travail que vous faites, et surtout à travailler avec d'autres conseils dans d'autres municipalités et parler de leurs défis également, je pense que vous faites un travail incroyable ici à Bathurst, puis je vous en félicite, toi et évidemment le staff qui travaille avec toi. Ça pour dire, c'est juste une petite question vite fait, mais il me semble qu'on avait parlé de refaire Bridge Street. C'est-tu les élections qui fait qu'on ne le voit plus sur la présentation ou?
Oui et non, là. On a Bridge Street pour 2025 et Miramichi Avenue pour 2026. Il y a des discussions à propos d'autres projets qui sont aux alentours de ces projets-là, qui nous donnent un défi un petit peu de savoir c'est quel qu'on va faire avant. Plus tard à soir, vous allez voir qu'on va faire une demande pour approuver les coûts d'ingénierie pour la Miramichi Avenue. C'est vraiment pour nous préparer de faire un projet ou l'autre. So, on parle de faire certains projets avec le marché des contracteurs dans la ville, avec le montant d'argent qui est fait. Avec les élections, ça se peut qu'on a des annonces, ça se peut que non, mais ça se peut que oui, qu'on a des annonces pour savoir exactement ce qu'on va faire là. C'est pas tout à fait certain tout de suite, mais certainement la bridge, la Miramichi, avant la fin 2026, certainement avoir deux bons projets là. Ouais.
Bon, moi, je suis vraiment heureux d'entendre ça parce que, écoute, ça fait des années là, puis les gens du côté est de la ville, je pense qu'ils méritent un peu d'amour eux autres aussi. Certainement pas eu beaucoup depuis que je suis sur le conseil. Ça fait encore une fois, merci. Merci d'avoir clarifié aussi pour les gens à la maison. Et on va laisser ça aux autres.
Parfait. Councillor Anderson?
Thank you, Your Worship. Just a quick question, Matt. The biweekly flushing, is that going to eliminate the brown water issue that we saw a lot last summer in particular?
So the unidirectional flushing is more what's going to do that. What we've found in that area is over the years we've been working hard on eliminating dead ends, on having looped areas to eliminate dead ends.
Right.
And what we've found is there's certain loops that are acting as dead ends regardless, and they're not being flushed because now they're looped. We don't have to flush them anymore. But if they're in a low area with low demand, we're getting stagnant water in that area. So when we go and flush, we're taking the water from that low area and bringing it out to another area that's of high use. So the short answer is yes. The more flushing, the less dirty water we should have. But what we're hoping to accomplish with the unidirectional flushing is to avoid having that dirty water in the first place. So the dead end flushing is going to eliminate the stagnant water from the dead ends. The unidirectional flushing is going to hopefully cause dirty water in those high traffic. Because whenever you get dirty water, it's not typically in the dead end areas. It's in where the high demand is and where there's a lot of water use, or where we're using fire hydrants or things like that. That's where the dirty water's happening on Van Tassel and Highland and Vino and all that. Those aren't Highland's dead end, but not the others. So to me, it's more the unidirectional flushing that's going to help with that. And I think we really need to allocate resources to ensure that flushing gets done and that we get on top of it. For sure.
But did you say earlier that that type of flushing is not done yearly in each sector of the city? Like,
Unidirectional, yeah.
yeah,
Yeah, we can only accomplish about a fifth of the city every year with unidirectional.
right.
But it's not unidirectional is what we're hoping is to avoid the interruptions from like if there's a big fire and a lot of water is being used somewhere, or if there's a big water break and a lot of water is being used somewhere, then we're having dirty water being stirred up in the system all the time.
Right.
We're hoping to eliminate that with the unidirectional flushing. Regular operation of our system, the dead end flushing is going to keep that water fresher and keep it cleaner in the system. So yes, the answer to your question is yes,
Okay.
but the unidirectional flushing is more of the concern for us because when we have those dirty water concerns, it's usually caused by something. It's caused by a water leak or a large demand somewhere or a reversal of water somewhere. And we're hoping to eliminate those with unidirectional flushing.
It's like, I know in my area in particular, like last summer, it was quite bad. Like I would say at least once a week. All the neighbors were calling me, my water's brown, and mine would be too. So, sometimes it would stop the house before me.
Mm-hmm.
But, generally we had a lot of issues like in the Riverside area last year with really brown water.
Okay. We encourage residents to call City Hall, right? Because
Yeah, don't
we
call.
have a dashboard up and we've only had, and we've certainly not received all those calls because
No, I did.
the numbers that we have are not indicative of people saying I have dirty water every week.
Yeah.
And I understand that people don't want to call every week, but if somebody has recurring dirty water, we really want to make sure they call us so that we know, because honestly, Hinton is not on our radar right now. Not Hinton, I'm sorry, whatever, your street. I can't remember which one it is, but it's
Off of Riverside.
yeah, off of
We'll
Riverside.
leave it like that.
Yeah, it's not going to the public. It's not on our radar right now as far as a hotspot, but what you're saying certainly sounds like it should be, right?
Yeah.
So if I look at our maps, I don't see that
Okay.
lit up, right?
Good to
So
know.
we really need to encourage residents to call City Hall up front here and make those calls. And we'll probably see a bump, but that's what we want. We want to know where those hotspots are so we can address them.
Perfect. Good
Yep.
to know. Thanks.
Councillor Burnett?
Thanks, Madam Mayor. My question was asked.
Oh, it's been
Councillor.
asked.
Yeah.
Perfect. Deputy Mayor Willett?
Thank you, Madam Mayor. I'm wondering, is it possible to recall our crew earlier for the season if we're running the Big Ella now? So if we get a water break right now, it means they stop making the pave and everything retracts a little bit. So since we're in such better financial shape than what we were, wouldn't it be better to call our crew back in earlier than the middle of May to start doing this work?
Well, the asphalt plant's really only open the middle of May, right? So we wouldn't have work for 2 crews right now. We can't fine tune patch with our recycled asphalt. We can do the big holes, which the guys have been keeping on top of pretty good already. But as far as doing like full street repairs and everything like that, we can't do any of that until the asphalt plant's open. Budget wise, also it's a pretty significant cost to recall everybody before timelines are laid out. And typically we want to ensure that we have capacity at the end of the year to keep them in case, snowstorms and whatnot at the end of the year. So I hear you. It does make sense. I think right now we're pretty well on track. We're ahead of our sweeping with the Eddy net. Our patching's looking pretty good. We've already started on our road rebuilds. Typically, to have that other crew in there, they're replacing a lot of people that are off on vacations and things, and our crews are in right now. They're not on vacation. So things are pretty good right now.
Yeah, I'm just thinking if the weather stays the way it is now, that plant probably be open before then.
Yeah, and we'll get going as soon as the plant's open. Yeah, we're not going to hold off until the middle of May.
Okay.
We'll get rolling right away. Yeah.
Thank you.
Just for clarification, the budget for 2025 was approved last fall into December for 2025. So even though we were able to shave money off the debt, that is not part of our budget for 2025 expense and spending.
Mhm.
That being said, if there was anything that was to happen in public works where you would require additional funding, that's when you would do the request. And then we would see within our quarterly reports that more money was needed, which could be taken out of the reserve fund, worst case scenario.
Yes.
But the savings that we have is completely separate from our budget that we're doing for 2025. And I think we have increased within the budget for 2025 within your department based on the ask, because I think the last couple of years, council has been saying, ask for more, we'll give you more in order to do more. And I think we're moving forward in that area.
Yeah, we're certainly maxed out right now. Yeah, unless there be an influx of extra resources as far as manpower and equipment, which you'll see tonight. There's going to be a request for a transfer from the reserve, and that's an example of something that we're going to need because we're doing more. Like I said, that project on Rough Waters is over 800 meters. We can't do that with what we have right now. We need what we're asking for tonight. So we are asking for what we need. There's no doubt. And I think it's going to be incremental steps of ramping up as far as doing work in-house and getting it done. But we want to make sure that we do it efficiently too. So.
Perfect. Thank you, Mr. Abernathy. And thank you to you and your staff and your crew. I mean, they're the ones that are working in minus 20 this winter with the water breaks and the water leaks. And, you know, they work nights, they work evening, just like your fire department and the police department. So they do work quite hard and we appreciate them.
Certainly appreciate that. We'll pass it on for sure.
Thank you.
All right, thanks.
On s'en va, une demande de rezonage pour 555 Promenade Evangeline. So rezoning request for 555 Angeline Drive by Mrs. Naïsa Rose Rabé. Bonjour, Naïsa. Good evening.
Good evening. Thank you so much. Good evening, everyone, Your Worship, Council, and public. So I'll be presenting today a plan amendment and rezoning. I will have to precise that it's not for a development, so it's more of an administrative process, let's say. So
for development will be coming soon.
Yes,
we
will have some. Yes.
All right. Good.
So quickly, there's going to be the application overview, site allocation and characteristics, uses timeline, urban analysis, which will have municipal plan, zoning, stakeholders input, planning department recommendation, and process timeline. So for this one, there is no applicant because it has been initiated by the city. The property owner is Mega Concept Investments, Inc. It's an amendment to the Schedule A of the future land use map of the city of Bathurst, bylaw number 2006-01, to change the designation from communication tower to commercial, and an amendment to the Schedule A of the zoning map of the city of Bathurst zoning bylaw number 2008-01 to change the zoning from communication tower to highway commercial. That would be for a 23,748 square meters portion of the subject property with the PID listed, which is located at 555 Evangeline Drive in the city of Bathurst. That is in order to specify that the amendments adopted by the council in 2019 were for a portion of the property and not for the entire property. Bylaws 2019-03M and 2019-03Z, adopted in 2019, therefore had the effect of changing the zoning for the entire property, whereas only the portion of land occupied by the tower was meant to have its zoning changed from highway commercial to telecommunication tower. So we have an aerial image of the subject property, which is highlighted here in blue. And this is a closer view. We can also see that tiny yellow box is where the tower is installed. The subject property has an irregular shape. And as mentioned, the area for the portion of that property is 23,748 square meters. The access to the tower is via St. Anne Street. It is serviced, and the current zoning is communication tower. The property is now vacant, with only the installed Eastlink tower on the 152 square meters portion of the subject property. There's no new proposed use for the 23,748 square meters portion of the property. It will remain as is. For the user's timeline, let's go with the site history. In 2019, Eastlink submitted an application to change the future land use designation from commercial to communication tower, and the zoning from highway commercial to communication tower for a 152 square meters portion of the subject property. That is to install a communication tower of a height of 45.7 meters. So as mentioned, now the property is vacant, and we can see the installed tower here with the photo on the right. We have a few photos here, and the first one is the view of the subject property. The second is the view of the communication tower and the surroundings. And the third one is a view from the subject property of the neighboring houses across St. Anne Street. For the proposed use, as mentioned, there is no new one proposed, and the remainder portion of the subject property is vacant. It will remain as is. When it comes to the urban analysis, let's remind that we have authority under the Community Planning Act C19, and the authority is also from the section 59.1. Council shall request the views of the advisory committee as per section 110.1 and 110.2. For the municipal plan, it serves as a guide to determine the compliance of future development with the overall objectives of the city. So the plan is intended to be used by council, the planning department, PAC, developers, businesses, community organizations, and residents to guide day-to-day decisions affecting development. The municipal plan map divides the city into 9 major land designation zones. So the subject property, which is highlighted here with the blue line, I'm going to try to show it with my mouse here, and it is designated as communication tower. For the policies and proposals of the municipal plan, we didn't go into details for the alignment because there's no proposed project here, but it's also important to remind a few of these details when it comes to the highway commercial zone, because we want to show why we're making it important to rezone to highway commercial instead of keeping it as communication tower. So in the section 7.2, it shall be a policy of council to provide safe and suitable areas for highway commercial development, catering to highway and tourist-related needs of residents and visitors. In section 7.3, highway commercial uses shall primarily provide for the automotive-oriented commercial activities such as, but not limited to, restaurants, auto sales and services establishments, hotels, motels, fast food and other drive-in uses, retail sales of building products and contractor supplies, farm equipment, public garages, rental establishments, banks, food stores, furniture outlets, etc. So compared to the communication tower zone, which only allows one use related to towers, the highway commercial zone would best cater to tourist or growth-related needs and help meet commercial development goals with a variety of uses it allows. Now, let's come to the zoning. For this property, it is currently zoned as communication tower. As we can see on the map, it's in purple. So the subject property was initially zoned as highway commercial, and the rezoning with the bylaw 2019-03Z in 2019, which was to communication tower, was meant to be for just 152 square meters portion of the subject property. The communication tower zone allows one or more of this use, the telecommunication tower. Any accessory building, structure, or use incidental to the main use of the land, building or structure if such main use is permitted by this subsection. And we can see here the highway commercial zone allows way more. I will not go into details through these uses because there's no development at this point, but I just wanted to highlight how this rezoning will unlock the potential of the land. When it comes to the neighborhood character and development impact, we have to first check the correlation of uses. What do we mean by that is that we need to check the harmony of the uses and how they relate. So in this case, for a radius of 500 meters, we can see that there is a harmonized mix of the uses in general. There is no correlation between the communication tower zoning and the surrounding zones. We can see that that's the only purple zone because there's no other zone like that. So it's less in correlation with the other zones. A majority of the areas are residential zones, which are here represented in yellow. And we also have the highway commercial zones, which are represented in red. A minority of the areas are parks and open spaces. Here we have some in green, institutional zones in blue, and one light industrial zone, which is in light gray. For the existing uses, there is none on the property besides the communication tower, as mentioned previously. However, we have a mix of the existing uses surrounding the subject property in a radius of 500 meters. So we have the commercial uses represented in red. We have those which are restaurants, supermarkets, shopping stores, pharmacies, car rental services, gas station. We have institutional uses here are represented in light gray. There's the cemetery, Central Library, and we also have residential uses represented in yellow. So we have several residential buildings. For the socio-economic factors, as per the study done by Imagine Schaller Bathurst is expected to be the focus of future population growth in the region and is a regional hub for healthcare and other major services, including retail and businesses. With expected growth in the future, having land with the potential for development to answer to the needs of the population will be crucial. Then we have the built environment. So the immediate area in which the subject property is located is not densely built, as we can see on the map. So the tiny, more gray buildings are presented on the map. We can see that the property doesn't have any other buildings next to it immediately, besides that big one. But we have some in the areas like the south and northeast of the subject property, which are densely built. The building's average height is 1 story along St. Anne Street, south of the property, and approximately 2 stories along Evangeline Drive. We have a 3D elevation here to have an idea. Then we have traffic and circulation. So in this case, it's not something to go into details because there's no project at this point, but we can say that the subject property has its frontage on Evangeline Drive, and the access to the tower is via St. Anne Street. As per the municipal plan, Evangeline Drive and St. Anne Street are designated as collector roads. We have them represented in yellow. And St. Peter Avenue, which is located at approximately 220 meters, is designated as arterial road. Then we have the environmental factors. The subject property presents a relatively flat ground surface, except for the edges. We have those along the property line on the north, Evangeline Drive, on the east, and St. Anne Street on the south. Those show a progressive drop of ground level, as we can see on the presented maps and elevation profiles. So this is the topography map, and as I've mentioned, we can see some on the edges, a kind of drop for the ground level. Then we have the elevation profile, and we can see, I'm going to try to show with my mouse. So here we have the tiny drop. That's the one I was referring to. Even though the subject property is adjacent to the Dawson's Brook, it doesn't seem to have any wetlands, nor will it be affected by flooding as per the provincial map's predictions in 20 to 100 years. And we have the map on the right, which shows that. Considering there's no proposed development for the subject property, there won't be any impact on the volume of traffic, the noise, and the overall activity, that would surpass the existing conditions and patterns of activity in the neighborhood. Any potential development would be subject to the highway commercial zoning regulations for setback, lot coverage, parking, etc., along with any potential conditions that council wishes to impose. Then we have the stakeholders' input. So we submitted the report for comments to the city departments and also to the departments of environment and local government, and we received one from the Watercourse and Wetland Alteration Branch. So that was regarding the watercourse and also the 30-meter buffer zone that we have on subject property. And it says for any alteration in or within 30 meters of a watercourse wetland as defined by the DELG, a WAWA permit is required. Then, in addition, our assessment indicates the potential for an unmapped wetland within the property here, or within 30 meters of the subdivision. Prior to any development on the property, WAWA may require that the presence or limits of wetlands be assessed in the field by a qualified wetland delineation professional. Now we go to the Planning Department recommendation. Pursuant to Section 110(1) of the Community Planning Act, it is recommended by the Planning Department that the City of Bathurst amend the Schedule A of the future land use map of the City of Bathurst Municipal Plan to change the designation from communication tower to commercial, and the Schedule A of the zoning map of the City of Bathurst zoning bylaw to change the zoning from communication tower to highway commercial. That would be for a portion which is 23,748 square meters of the subject property described as the PID listed and located at 555 Evangeline Drive in the City of Bathurst. And it is subject to the following terms and conditions pursuant to Section 59 of the Community Planning Act. 1, that the 152 square meters portion of the property where the tower was installed remains as communication tower. 2, any potential development would be subject to a minimum setback from the tower. The setback should be the height of the tower plus 10% of that height. This one is particularly very important because if ever there is development for the safety of the residents we need the building to be at that distance of the tower. Then we have the last one, any additional conditions that council wishes to impose. So for the process timeline, as this presentation is an informal one, it is to council, the official public presentation will be on May 20th. Then on May 27th, we'll have the PAC meeting. From May 20th, we will have 30 days for the written comments from the public. They have to be sent to the city clerk. And then that will lead us to July 7th to have the public hearing, check the PAC views, have the first and second readings, and we go to July 21st for the adoption of conditions, third reading, and bylaw adoption. And that is the end of the presentation. If there are any questions.
Thank you very, very much. So do we have any questions? No? Well, I guess it's pretty clear.
Thank you so much.
very much.
My pleasure.
All right. So we're going to go to finances. Total des comptes fournisseurs pour le mois de mars 2025. Account payable total for March 2025. Ms. Parker.
That the accounts payable totals, including payroll, for the month of March 2025 be approved as follows. Operating $1,306,691, capital $112,006, for a total of $2,915,380.
Right, I'll need someone to move in second. Councillor Branch, seconded by Councillor LeBlanc. Before we go to the question, Mr. Pettigrew.
Thank you, Your Worship. The following is a summary of disbursements for both the operating and capital funds for the month of March 2025. Under the capital fund, ADM Systems Engineering Limited received a payment of $95,386 for partial replacement of ice plant controls. Canoe Procurement Group of Canada received a payment of $2,066 for tires for new trucks. Roy Consultants Limited received a payment of $14,555 for consulting services on various projects, for a total in the capital fund of $112,006. In the operating fund, Chiller Regional Service Commission received a payment of $26,564 for garbage recycling, sludge and tipping fees. Controls and Equipment Limited received a payment of $19,255 for the heating system maintenance. Gray Bar Canada received a payment of $19,012 for miscellaneous maintenance equipment and products. IMP Solutions received a payment of $47,359 for computer replacements. Irving Energy received a payment of $69,926 for bulk diesel and oil. J&J Branch Contracting Limited received a payment of $36,059 for snow plowing and equipment rental. Locality Media Inc., which the police department or fire department were talking about tonight, was $16,636 for software for the fire department. NV Power received a payment of $214,496 for electricity. North Tetigos Recreation Center received a $45,000 grant. Roy Consultants Limited received a payment of $31,369 for consulting services on various projects. Various vendors for road salt supply and snow removal received a payment of $84,991. Wex Canada received a payment of $37,606 for fuel. Other recurring payments of $658,417, including animal control service, repair, supplies, promoter settlements for tickets, for a total of $1,306,691. Total payroll for 4 pay periods was $1,496,682, for a total of the month of March of $2,915,380. And that is my report, Your Worship.
All right, thank you. Do we have any questions? Well, I'll go to the question. All those in favor signify by saying aye. Opposed? Motion carried. 2024 financial audit statement. Ms. Parker.
That the 2024 consolidated financial statements for the City of Bathurst be accepted as presented, and that the Mayor and City Treasurer be authorized to sign the aforementioned statements. Be resolved that the 2024 consolidated financial statements are approved as presented.
All right, I'll need someone to move. Councillor Legacy, seconded by Councillor Hondas. Do we have any questions? Okay, all those in favor signify by saying aye. Opposed? Motion carried. We have no municipal bylaws. We go to draft resolution. Donc, résolution provisoire. Transfert du fonds de réserve de fonctionnement général au fonds de fonctionnement général. Transfer from general operating reserve to general operating fund. Ms. Parker.
Be it resolved that members of council authorize a transfer of $250,000 from the general operating reserve to the general operating fund for the purchase of a wheeled gravel compactor.
All right, I'll need someone to move. Councillor Branch, seconded by Councillor Anderson. Mr. Pettigrew, did we want to add to that before we?
Thank you. We're going to go to Mr. Abernathy.
Okay. Number 6. You've got the mic, Mr. Abernathy.
Thank you, Your Worship. So essentially, with the approval of all of the paving projects that we've done, we've gone through over the last few years, and we typically would rent various pieces of equipment to do these projects. We're certainly intending on continuing to do these projects for the long term. And so some of the pieces of equipment which we've rented, we've looked at the cost of rental versus purchase. And in some instances, it's simply a no-brainer. And in this instance, it is one. We're looking at a cost of over $45,000 to rent these 2 pieces of equipment for the year, when the purchase cost is $250 to have them for 10, 15 plus years. So if we are planning on continuing to pave roads, these would be necessary pieces of equipment. One of them is a gravel roller to prep the surfaces before asphalt, and the other one is a double drum roller, identical to the current one that we have. And the reason for a second one is because whenever we do longer sections of asphalt, like the ones on Ryan Road or Rough Waters, the asphalt goes down significantly faster than we are able to compact it. We need to do a minimum number of passes to get a quality asphalt mat. And therefore, we do need a second roller to get that done. So that's the reason for the request tonight.
Perfect. Do we have any questions? No? All right. All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion carried. Service d'ingénierie pour la modernisation de l'avenue Miramichi. So engineering services for Miramichi Avenue upgrade. Ms. Parker.
Be it resolved that members of council authorize the issuance of a purchase order in the amount of $250,000 to Roy Consultants for engineering services as detailed in the proposal for the Miramichi Avenue upgrade project.
All right, I'll need someone to move. Councillor Branch, seconded by Councillor LeBlanc. Mr. Pettigrew, before we continue. Your mic's still on, Mr. Abernathy?
Thank you, Your Worship. A lot of talking tonight. So this is for the engineering services for the rebuild of Miramichi Avenue for the section from Bridge Street. Sorry, the street that we're going to escapes me, but I believe it's around Mount Carmel area. Mount Carmel, yeah. And so this project is slated in the provincially designated highway funding program for 2026. However, in order for us to complete a project, it needs to be designed in the year prior. So this is council approving that project. As I mentioned earlier, there is some debate with surrounding projects with Bridge Street and Miramichi Avenue. Getting that design done now also gives us the option to possibly complete that project this year, and so not lose out on funding for provincially designated highway projects should Bridge Street not be able to go ahead this year for other factors which we can't speak to at the moment. But it's to ensure that we don't lose out on funding essentially, and that we are ready to proceed with Miramichi Avenue in the time that we need to.
All right, so we have questions. Deputy Mayor Willett.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. So the design for Miramichi Avenue, are we going to stay at 4 lanes, or are we going to 3 lanes, or 2 lanes?
So we looked at we asked our consultants to have a look at what's required for that project, and essentially I'll have to double check to be sure, but the last time I spoke to the engineering department about it, we were going to maintain 4 lanes until Rough Waters and then go down to 2 lanes afterwards. And that's the recommendation from the engineers, I believe. Yeah.
Okay. I thought we would have stayed at 3 lanes like St. Anne's, but it makes it kind of hard, I think, at 2 lanes if we're going to build an industrial park on the south side of the mill property. So, I don't know. Okay, thank you.
Councillor Hundas.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Yeah, this is supposed to be an upgrade, not a downgrade. I think that would be detrimental to East Bathurst if we went down to 2 lanes. I would not support that. 3 lanes minimum, like in St. Anne's, would be the ideal for us. I think we need to keep it as is, like Councillor Deputy Mayor Willett just said. We do need that access road for the in and out for the new industrial park. 2 lanes won't be sufficient.
All right, so we'll let the engineers continue the work and see what needs to be done and what they recommend. And because I think they were talking more 3 lanes, not necessarily a 2 lane. But we'll have to wait and see.
Again, it's possible. Yeah, I'll have to get back to you on it.
We'll have to wait, and once we get the logistics, they'll be coming back to council anyway.
Yep.
All right, perfect. Okay. So we'll go to the question. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Oppose? Motion carried. On s'en va. Modification du plan municipal conformément à l'article 25 sur la loi sur l'urbanisme 555 Promenade Evangeline. Amendment to the municipal plan pursuant to section 25 of the Community Planning Act 555 Evangeline Drive. Ms. Parker.
Whereas the City of Bathurst proposes to amend bylaw number 2006-01 entitled the City of Bathurst Municipal Plan Bylaw to allow the designation and use of the following lands as follows. Change the future land use designation of a portion of the lot bearing civic number 555 Evangeline Drive and bearing PID 207-84823 for the purposes of the municipal plan. The future land use designation is changed from communication tower to commercial. The purpose of this amendment is to specify that the amendments adopted by the council in 2019 were for a portion of the property and not for the entire property. Now therefore be it resolved that 1. The council requests in writing the written views of the Planning Advisory Committee on the proposed amendments. 2. The public presentation of the proposed amendment to the municipal plan takes place on May 20, 2025 at 6:30 p.m. in council chambers. 3. The city clerk, acting on behalf of the council, see that the public notice prescribed in section 25 of the Community Planning Act is posted on the municipality's website to announce the council's intention, the day and place of the public presentation, and 4. The opportunity to make objections to the council regarding the proposed bylaw within 30 days of the date of the public presentation by forwarding them to the city clerk at City Hall.
All right, I'll need someone to move in second. Councillor Hondas, seconded by Councillor Knowles. Ready for the question? All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Oppose? Motion carried. 9.4, renewal of appointment to the Bathurst Aquatic Center Commission. Renouvellement de la nomination à la Commission du Centre Aquatique. Ms. Parker.
That Francesco Saverio Viglione be appointed to the Aquatic Center Commission for a third term of office expiring April 2026.
All right, I'll need someone to move in second. Councillor Branch, seconded by Deputy Mayor Willett. Ready for the question? All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Oppose? Motion carried. Okay. Ms. Parker, do we have any administration report?
There were no reports from administration or from committees.
Okay. Mayor report. Avant qu'on débute, before we start, we received this beautiful gift, and this is for council and mayor. And it says, "Thank you, merci, community heroes." So, to Bathurst Mayor and Council, your kindness has made a significant impact in our school community. Thank you for your support. Thank you for everything you have done for our students in our school. Audrey Reynolds. So this is from the Anglophone School, North School District. And the plaque actually says, "Thank you for being a hero in our school community," in English and in French. Thank you very much. I think that for us, you know, our school system with the breakfast program and our funding that we had left over last year, anything that we can do to help out, we're certainly going to be there. Another thing I can tell you is myself and our communication, Monsieur Foulem, we have been doing a lot of school presentations here. On a eu beaucoup de jeunes qui sont venus à l'école, ici de l'école, qui est venu faire des présentations. And what we've been doing, what I've been doing is we assign a mayor, deputy mayor, city clerk, CAO, everybody, and we do role play. And I give them a budget. And when we give them a budget, we'll do it grants. And I had a group of grade 5 students, and I cannot tell you how impressed I was. And it's unbelievable the work that the teachers do with these students to teach them what municipal politics is all about. And I give them a budget, and I tell them, okay, now you have $25,000, but you have $35,000 in requests. And then I will sit in the front and I'll answer any questions that they may have. But we had a group from ESN. Et je vais vous dire que ces jeunes-là de 10e année à ESN m'a tellement impressionné, même que le professeur leur a fait, ils ont fait un exercice, un test, vérifier, d'aller chercher de l'information. Il a fallu faire des recherches. Fait quand ils sont arrivés ici puis qu'on a fait de l'exercice, le budget était beaucoup plus gros. On regardait à 75 000 avec des demandes de 100 000. Et j'ai tellement été impressionnée de voir que c'est notre génération, les jeunes qui nous reviennent puis qui vont nous remplacer. Merci aux professeurs. Thank you to all the teachers out there. And, you know, City Hall is open. We are more than willing. We've done quite a few and we can do more. It's our pleasure. Anything that we can do to teach these students. But this is a thank you. I don't know where we will put it, but we have to put it somewhere that everybody can have access to it. So thank you, Audrey, and we will ask you to come and take a picture with us. Merci. And the school district. On another note, I wanted to thank our staff, Madame Gauvin, the team. You know, for myself and Councillor Anderson and Councillor Hondas and Deputy Mayor Willett that came in 2018. When we started in 2016 financially, you know, we were almost $38 million. $40 million in debt. And it's to no fault to anybody. It's not easy to manage a municipality. It's not easy. And Ms. Gauvin joined us in 2018. And from 2018, which we had brought the debt down to $35,627,000, to 2024, 6 years later, and we're at $18,470,000. That's a little over 50% off our debt. Now, that does not mean that we have all kinds of money to spend. What it means is that we're saving in interest payments. You know, we're saving in interest rates. We're managing our money better. And we're putting ourselves in a situation that if we have a financial crisis, that we will be okay. Because I think the limit, and Ms. Gauvin, correct me if I'm wrong, but $40 million is your cap that you can borrow. And we were almost there. So now we're down to 18 million. So if we were to put itself in a situation where we would have to have, and we know that we need a new water treatment plant, you know, we're talking about a new pool. If we have a massive break, we're in a situation that we can go to the Capital Board and fix the problems that need to be fixed. And, you know, this is with council working efficiently with our budget, asking a lot of questions, and with the staff and each department head. So we are trying to do more and trying to do more efficient. And I know it's not what everybody wants to hear because, I mean, after meetings like tonight, someone will message me and what about my street? What about this street? If I'm not mistaken, Mr. Abernathy, and I think your mic's still on, within the city limits prior to the reform, I think we're 270 kilometers of street in such a small municipality like ours.
I guess 315 lane kilometers, I believe.
315 lane kilometers. So, you know, we may not always get to your street, and someone will call me and they'll say, you know, my street is in bad shape. I will actually name a couple of other streets and ask him to go take a drive there and then call me back and tell me how bad your street is. I mean, my street had a little pothole, tiny little pothole. Did I call the city for that one? No, I knew it was going to be done during patching. Why? For me to call as mayor, because it's in my subdivision, when we have other streets that are in dire need that needs to be fixed, patching will get done. It ended up getting done in our subdivision. So thank you, everybody, for the work that you do, and thank you to the staff and our CEO, Mr. Pettigrew. Bon. Je retourne à l'Académie Assomption. Je voudrais remercier député maire Willett qui m'a remplacé pendant que j'étais en vacances. Ça fait du bien. Je voulais juste vous dire, avant que je suis partie en vacances, le 21 mars, moi-même, député maire Willett et quelques conseillers ont eu l'opportunité de rencontrer les parents et la présidente du comité de parents d'appui, Laura Renouf, le 21 mars. On se rencontrait cette journée-là. J'arrivais de Fredericton, une réunion, quand j'ai été contactée par la présidente, Madame Renouf, qui nous a informé que le district scolaire francophone du Nord a refusé qu'on se rencontre à l'école l'Académie Assomption. J'avais aucune idée que c'était dans les mandats du district scolaire d'empêcher une communauté de se rencontrer dans un établissement communautaire. Je pense qu'ils ont dépassé leur autorité cette journée-là, mais ils nous l'ont refusé. Peu importe, on s'est rencontrés à la salle Paul Ouellette. Quand on s'est rencontrés à la salle Paul Ouellette, parce que avant je suis partie en vacances, l'Académie Assomption a reçu un courriel du district scolaire en disant que ministre Johnson avait dit qu'on fermait l'école Académie Assomption. Moi, j'avais reçu aucun communiqué de Mme Johnson, mais le 27 mars, j'ai reçu une lettre qui disait que la décision était de fermer l'école, de suivre la direction du district scolaire. Dans la lettre, j'avais envoyé 2 lettres au ministre. Je lui avais demandé de nous donner jusqu'à juin 2026, juste pour voir qu'est-ce qu'on serait en mesure d'accomplir d'ici à ce temps-là. Ça a été refusé. Le 21 mars, dès là par après, on a contacté Ali Chesson, qui est le directeur de la Société acadienne du Nouveau-Brunswick. Il nous a orientés vers Jonathan Clavette, l'avocat Jonathan Clavette. Et la première rencontre a eu lieu avec Monsieur Clavette et le district scolaire, et on était là le 21 mars. Madame Renouf travaille de très proche étroitement avec l'avocat Clavette présentement. Et les parents me demandent de dire aux gens de la communauté de Bathurst, les citoyens de Bathurst, de rester à l'écoute. L'Académie Assomption, les parents de l'Académie Assomption, incluant Madame Renouf, s'attendent de faire une rencontre le 3 mai à 13h devant l'école, dont ils vont inviter les gens de la communauté de venir les supporter, d'essayer de garder leur école ouverte, même si la décision a été faite par le ministre et le district scolaire. Je pense qu'ils n'ont aucune intention de lâcher prise. Et personnellement, je ne peux pas les blâmer. Si on ferme l'école Académie Assomption, on n'aura pas une deuxième école francophone. J'ai aussi parlé au président de l'Association francophone des municipalités, Yvon Godin. Yvon Godin est à Bertrand. L'école de Bertrand a été construite à la même année que l'école d'Académie Assomption. L'école de Bertrand est flambant neuve. Les fonds qui ont été investis dans cette école-là, et ils ont 73 ou 76 étudiants de maternelle à 8e année. Académie Assomption est de maternelle à 5e année avec 62 étudiants. C'est donc bien drôle comment ils ont été capables de tout rénover ces écoles-là dans la péninsule acadienne, puis j'enlève rien à la péninsule. Bravo à vous autres. Je pense qu'il va falloir qu'on jappe, puis on jappe encore plus fort pour Bathurst, parce que je trouve que c'est très malheureux qu'ils ont choisi de fermer cette école quand ils auraient pu mettre des fonds financiers dans cette école dans les dernières 5 à 10 années, si pas les dernières 10 à 20 années. Puis si vous regardez qu'est-ce qui a été investi dans cette école-là, c'est absolument rien comparé à qu'est-ce qui a été mis dans les autres écoles. Ça fait, je serai là avec les parents le 3 mai à 1h devant l'école, et j'invite les citoyens de Bathurst de venir supporter les parents. Jappez fort, parce qu'ils vont fermer cette école. Puis l'école en fonctionne encore. Il n'y a aucune raison pourquoi il faut absolument qu'elle ferme au mois de juin. Elle fonctionne encore. Donnez-nous le temps. Continuez. Et là aussi, il y a une garderie dans cette école-là qui va fermer. Bon, ça c'est mon rapport de maire à mon retour de vacances. On va aller à l'ajournement de la réunion. Madame Parker.
That the regular public meeting be adjourned at 8:11 p.m.
All right. I'll need someone to move. Councillor Hondas, seconded by Councillor Legacy. Ready for the question? All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion carried. Merci d'être avec nous aujourd'hui. Bonne soirée.